Before his death, Frank Sinatra named the 5 actresses with the worst hygiene. Frank Sinatra took secrets to his grave, but this wasn't one of them. The chairman of the board, perfectionist, control freak, hypersensitive to every sight, sound, and smell, kept a mental blacklist of Hollywood's most glamorous women who failed his impossible personal hygiene standards. Frank changed clothes 3 times daily and showered before and after sex, revealed his longtime valet. His personal cologne collection was worth more than most people's homes. The man's nose wasn't just sensitive, it ruled his life. And it ruined his relationships. Behind closed doors with his inner circle, usually around 2 a.m. with the scotch flowing freely, Sinatra would hold court with brutal assessments of lovers that would make today's gossip bloggers blush. Nothing was off limits, especially when it came to what he considered the cardinal sin, offensive body odor. He'd kiss a leading lady's hand on stage and call her darling, recalled a member of his entourage. Then we'd get back to the hotel and he'd spend an hour ranting about her repulsive stench while scrubbing his hands raw. Tonight, we expose the 5 Oscar-winning actresses who topped Sinatra's secret nasal nightmare list, women whose public personas as Hollywood goddesses masked what Sinatra described as olfactory horrors behind closed doors. This isn't speculation. This isn't secondhand gossip. These rankings come directly from those who heard Frank's unfiltered late-night confessions. And they reveal more than just sensitive nostrils. They expose the pathological need for control that drove his relationships and ultimately destroyed his most important connections. As his drummer for 15 years put it, Frank could control everything: the lighting, the tempo, the room temperature, except his heart. And that made him furious. When a woman got under his skin, he'd find some physical flaw to fixate on. The stronger he felt, the crueler the assessment. Nobody made Sinatra feel more than these 5 women, and nobody suffered his sensory wrath more severely. The psychiatrist one child went to a... No, it's the dentist, the other one did something. 5. Shelley Winters. She was wild, loud, unpredictable. Frank said kissing her was like licking an ashtray wrapped in a wet dog. Shelley Winters exploded into Sinatra's life in 1950 as everything he wasn't: uncensored, uninhibited, and uninterested in the suffocating perfection Frank demanded. Where Sinatra pressed his pants while wearing them, Winters famously rolled out of bed and into whatever clothes littered her floor. Frank was terrified of Shelley's chaotic energy, explained a makeup artist who worked with both stars. Her apartment looked like a tornado hit a thrift shop. She'd wear the same dress for 3 days. She'd eat garlic and laugh in your face. It was psychological warfare against everything Frank stood for. Their brief affair burned hot and crashed spectacularly. While Sinatra publicly blamed incompatible schedules, in private he launched into detailed critiques of Winters' personal habits that became legendary within his inner circle. She was brilliant on screen, but off-screen her apartment allegedly smelled like old soup and hairspray, revealed a longtime member of Sinatra's entourage. Frank would return from her place and immediately shower for 45 minutes, muttering about contamination. Winters later admitted she deliberately provoked Sinatra's germophobic tendencies. "I knew it drove him crazy when I ate with my fingers," she told a friend years later, "so I'd order the messiest food possible. The man was too perfect. Someone needed to ruffle him." Their relationship was doomed from the start. As Sinatra allegedly told his valet, they had a brief fling in the 50s. It didn't last. Neither did the air freshener. "Girls should call any woman on their dirty name, even if he's your husband." 4. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Zsa looked like money, but Frank said her perfume could clear a ballroom. If Shelley Winters represented one extreme of Sinatra's olfactory nightmares, natural human scent, Hungarian bombshell Zsa Zsa Gabor occupied the opposite pole, synthetic chemical overload that overwhelmed his sensitive nose. She bathed in Chanel, soaked in powder, and reapplied every 20 minutes. Sinatra complained to his bandmates after a particularly suffocating date night, "I didn't know if I was dating a woman or walking through a duty-free store." Their relationship lasted 6 weeks in 1954, about 5 weeks longer than Sinatra's sinuses could tolerate. According to his personal assistant, Frank would return from evenings with Gabor with bloodshot eyes and a handkerchief pressed permanently to his nose. Behind the glamour, a cloud of chemical warfare, Sinatra told his inner circle. He claimed the scent lingered on his clothes so persistently that he once burned a $600 tuxedo rather than have it cleaned. The dry cleaner couldn't kill it. Nothing could kill it. That perfume survived like a cockroach after nuclear winter. The final straw came during a weekend in Palm Springs when Gabor allegedly spritzed perfume on his pillow as a romantic gesture. Sinatra spent the night in another bedroom and ended the relationship the next morning. Frank said he could taste her perfume in his food 3 days after seeing her, recalled a chef who worked in Sinatra's home. He'd send back plates claiming they were contaminated with Zaza. Eventually we realized it was all in his head, but you never questioned Frank's senses if you wanted to keep your job. Baby, come to baby do. 3. Judy Garland. Frank loved her talent, but not her energy or her odor. He described her as a nervous breakdown in heels, and said she carried that stress in her sweat. The connection between Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland transcended romance. They recognized in each other the same demons, the same insecurities, the same self-destructive tendencies. Their performances together created magical moments in entertainment history. But behind closed doors, Sinatra couldn't handle the physical manifestation of Garland's internal chaos. Benzedrine, bourbon, and stage panic do not mix well, Sinatra told his entourage after a particularly difficult week with Garland in 1954. Their duets were electric, but the dressing room, not so much. According to those closest to him, Sinatra's complaints about Garland reflected his terror of confronting his own addictions and anxieties. In her, he saw a mirror reflecting his worst fears about himself. Frank was running from the same demons that were catching up with Judy, explained his longtime road manager. When he talked about her smell, he was really talking about his own fear. She was what happened when you lost control, and control was everything to Frank. Sinatra's description of Garland's scent became increasingly clinical as their relationship progressed. He would categorize the components with disturbing precision: 40% pharmaceutical, 30% fear, 20% booze, 10% talent burning too bright. The cruel irony was that Sinatra fought identical battles with pills, alcohol, and crippling performance anxiety, but channeled his management of these issues into obsessive cleanliness rather than surrender. What made Garland's position on Sinatra's list particularly tragic was that he genuinely loved her, perhaps more authentically than any woman besides his final wife. But his inability to separate the person from the sensory experience created a barrier he couldn't overcome.
It's up there watering the plants. I promised the Coffins I would. They don't even have a hose, so I was...
2. Marilyn Monroe. Yes, Marilyn. Frank adored her, but he was honest. He once told a friend she smelled like beauty and breakdown. According to him, long days, panic sweats, and melting makeup gave her a sweet rot he couldn't ignore. No entry on Sinatra's olfactory blacklist shocked his inner circle more than Marilyn Monroe. America's ultimate sex symbol, the woman whose poster hung in barracks and boardrooms alike, was, according to Frank, a sensory disappointment that he couldn't reconcile with her visual perfection. Frank expected Marilyn to smell like the fantasy she projected, explained a makeup artist who worked with both stars, like some impossible combination of vanilla and sex and innocence. When he discovered she was a real woman with real bodily functions, he almost couldn't process it. Their brief affair in 1961 coincided with Monroe's increasing dependence on prescription medications and alcohol, substances that Sinatra claimed altered her natural scent in ways he found increasingly difficult to ignore. She was iconic, but even icons sweat through silk, Sinatra remarked to a small group of confidants. He described in almost clinical detail how Monroe's carefully constructed external perfection would gradually deteriorate through long days, the makeup melting, the perspiration accumulating, the pharmacy of pills exuding through her pores. Frank said she smelled like a beautiful department store an hour before closing, recalled a member of his entourage. All the expensive perfumes mixing with human reality after the air conditioning failed. What made Monroe's case particularly revealing was Sinatra's inability to separate his fantasy of her from the biological reality. His complaints focused specifically on the gap between what he expected and what he experienced, the cognitive dissonance between the perfect image and the imperfect human. Frank couldn't forgive Marilyn for being mortal, observed his longtime physician. He'd built her up as this flawless creation, and the perfectly normal human sense she produced shattered that illusion. It wasn't about her, it was about his own impossible expectations.
Oh, he's wonderful.
1. Ava Gardner, the love of his life, and the one who, according to Frank, smelled like war. Their passion was nuclear, the fights legendary, but he told friends Ava was all gin, cigarettes, and fury. He once said, "I could never quit her, but I could barely breathe around her. She broke his